Alright guys, welcome back to VALORANT News. Major changes announced last night as to the future of the VALORANT Champions Tour. Huge overhauls to the way the international tournaments are going to be run. Major changes to Ascension. In fact, Ascension is gone next year for good or for bad. Time will tell on that one. But major roster drama happening elsewhere as well. What are MIBR cooking up among other teams? What's going to happen with the World Championship back underway? Very much into your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. Let's get right into things because yesterday they confirmed a lot in terms of the future for 2026. They also confirmed where, and not exactly when, but definitely how many teams will be attending the Masters events. Now, we know that over the last few years, the first Masters has typically been an 8-team event. It's now going to be in Santiago, Chile, and it's going to be a 12-team event. So this, I think, is definitely a step forward. I didn't really like the 8-team event. I know that people look back very fondly on the lock-in event, right, where we had every single team, but of course, nowadays, there are so many more teams that doesn't really feel too feasible to do again. But Santiago Masters, the opening event of 2026, 12 teams will qualify for that one. There's actually going to be triple elimination in the kickoffs to actually get to that point. Loads of other key updates. The other major one to get into, firstly, is around the other global events. So as usual, there will be 3 major international tournaments. This will, according to Leo Faria, go up over time. The intention is to increase the number of international events, which is absolutely, in my opinion, the right thing to do. What that will come at the cost of, who knows, maybe who cares, right? Internationals are what it's all about. I think we've seen that for Champions. Now, these are the locations. These were rumoured, like leaked a little while ago, but Masters 1 will be Santiago, Masters 2 will be London, England, which is great to see, and then Champions will be in Shanghai, China. So that is the way that it looks over next season, but that is far from the only update, right? So this is a major update that was confirmed, and this completely changes the way that we look at Ascension and challenges for the upcoming season. Now, my understanding is, or at least this is my opinion anyway, that this may just be being done for 2026, because we know that for 2027, that is when the partnership agreements, they come to an end. So 2027, we can expect major changes, not just to the way that the VCT is, but also to the teams that are a part of it. So there is talk that maybe Ascension is a great system. Like, I think we've really enjoyed Ascension over the last few years in the VCT. The idea that teams can qualify for the Pro League. There is an argument to say, okay, should they be able to qualify for other things as well? But also, if you win Ascension in 2026, who knows what even happens, because the partnership agreement ends. Are they going to be guaranteed spots for those teams that win? The teams that haven't been really pulling their weight in the Pro League, they're going to get their partnership licenses revoked. So it makes Ascension a little bit strange next year, I think. So I wouldn't be shocked if Ascension returns in 2027 and beyond, but for next year, they're going to take a different approach. So no big Ascension tournament. Of course, challenges still exist, but there's no tournament itself that decides who qualifies for next year and who doesn't. Instead, the best challenger teams will now have the ability to qualify for the playoffs, and therefore, so the best challenger teams will make it to the Stage 2 playoffs. And if they deliver results there, then they can qualify for the World Championship. So this, I think, is really great to see. It appears that the best challenger teams will play against the pro teams in their region in their playoffs, and then they will have the chance to qualify. Probably it's still going to be a 16-team World Championship. This is therefore the way that the calendar is looking to be run for next season. So at the start of the year, it's the kickoff, then Masters Santiago, then Stage 1, the playoffs, Masters 2, Stage 2, the playoffs, then the World Championship, right? So it'll be these events, as you see here, Challengers 1, Challengers 2, but after the Challengers playoffs, that will give those teams, I imagine the Challengers playoffs will happen July, early August, and then end of August, that will be the opportunity for those best Challenger teams to actually play with the pro teams. So very interesting approach. It does have some implications for academy teams, because of course, if you're an academy team, you won't be able to qualify, I don't imagine, for the playoffs or even for Champions, because then, your actual main team is going to be there. So there's some implications on what that looks like, whether that's just going to be a feature for next year or whether that's going to continue beyond. Josh RT says, look, I always thought the guard story was great back in 2023. So, it would be cool to see what can happen from then. There's another big update as well coming when Leo says that in 2027, there will be big changes arriving arriving, there's a more open VCT with more events and more variety of competition. So, you know, more open means that challenger teams have the ability to actually qualify and play at some of the big internationals, and actually more internationals as well. He says we want to move into a future where there's more tournaments and less league style play. Now, in my opinion, more tournaments is absolutely the answer. We need more tournaments, and even in different formats as well. Leo says that will be happening. Do we need less league play as a consequence? Maybe. You know, I don't mind it, but you could just, I don't think that we have too many online too many league matches, right? Like, we actually don't have very many at all. The teams don't really play that much, even in the regular season league matches. So, you know, I don't mind keeping that as it is and adding more events. I don't know if we have to reduce that to add more events, because again, it feels like, you know, we have to take away Valorant to get more Valorant, whereas right now I just don't think there's enough Valorant being played, to be perfectly honest, for the vast majority of teams. That's what the VCT looks like going forward. Intrigued to your thoughts in the comments below. Roster drama. This is a big one. So Evil Geniuses yesterday spotted with these individuals in the lobby. So, well, it's pretty interesting, right? Now, of course, TSM GMD was on the other side of things, but we had Derek, Potter, Common Okonos. So, look, if I'm Evil Geniuses, what am I doing? I'm trialing some players, but I'm probably keeping Derek and I'm probably keeping Ye, right? Like, if you're going to build around 2 players, that's probably what I would go for going forwards. Could Common Okonos be options? Very interesting. Definitely players to think about. I think there might be some other options out there as well. What role would Okonos play on this team? I also think that EG can and probably should and probably will bide their time just a little bit, because okay, let's say Sentinels blow it up and they get rid of Bang. Where's Bang going to go, right? Somebody's going to sign him. Could he be a good asset for EG? Would he want to go there? You know, obviously there's plenty of questions. I'm not saying Bang's going to get dropped, but it has been a talking point that has been thrown around. Na'Vi, they're going to get Angel back. I mean, this is actually a great story. But Angel, of course, played for them for some time. He said, look, I want to coach now. And apparently Na'Vi is getting him back and saying, you know what, Angel, it's been a wild ride, let's keep it rolling, right? So I actually like this for both parties. I think he announced his retirement from playing to pursue coaching in his own organisation, said, you know what, let's just bring you back and run it from there. Speaking of coaches, Cloud9 got rid of their assistant coach yesterday, and actually Zelsis was doing some tweets again, which is interesting, because Zelsis has been pretty radio silent on socials over the last few days since Sen got eliminated from the World Championship, but he was also commenting on this. This was the big roster news of last night. Rumours from Bruno Provaleri, pretty accurate historically, that MIBR are dramatically changing what they're looking to do. So, look, MIBR, they made a good run at the World Championship. They impressed many. They didn't make it as deep as they would have liked to. Of course, they came top 6 in the end. But reportedly, they are looking to make 3 changes, if not more, but who knows, to their roster. Aspas refused to comment on his contractual situation with MIBR as soon as they bombed out of Champions. So he may stay, he may be tempted to go. Of course, any team in the world would, I think, on some level, be lucky to have Aspas. So if he was want to leave, or if he's going to get better opportunities. You guys remember when Bleed were going to give him some crazy bag to go over there? That was definitely a wild time, right? But there will be organisations interested, and who knows what his contractual situation looks like 100%. There are questions on whether that is too sustainable, and maybe Aspas thinks that he could do better elsewhere. But regardless, Verno has seemingly done a great job and has impressed many, so he is set to stay. But I think that many of us looking at that roster would have expected Aspas, of course, you want to keep him if you can. Verno, Cortasia, right? Cortasia was really good, I thought, this season. I think he actually did a killer job. But apparently he's on the chopping block here. So, like, Arzan and Zenom shouldn't be a massive surprise that they have allowed them to explore options and said, yeah, we might move in a different direction there. But the expectation is that all of those players, Arzan, Zenom and Cortasia, will not be part of MIBR. So this is pretty fascinating if this comes true, because I think Cortasia was very impressive this year, but also MIBR, they just got to listen to Aspas, right? Like, I think that's the thing. I don't know what Aspas thinks about this, obviously, and who knows what kind of conflict they're having there. But, like, if I'm MIBR, I'm like, look, Aspas, what do you want to do, right? Like, what's your opinion on this roster? Do you want to keep this guy? Do you want to get rid of this guy? Because we are going to do everything we can to keep you happy here. So who knows where this is coming from, but definitely intriguing for sure, because I think many would have thought, you know what, they've just come top 6 at Champions. Keep Aspas, Verno, Cortesia, look for 2. That could be enough of an overhaul to make a difference next year. But according to MIBR, maybe not. So intrigued to your thoughts in the comments. Zeltis is like, damn, MIBR in shambles. What are Sentinels doing? Let's tune into the stream, right? But today, and actually by the time many of you guys are watching this video, probably the World Championship is now well underway, because it's starting earlier in Paris over the next couple of days. And that is the case today as well. There have been some theories who's going to win the tournament. Look, DRX could win it. I don't have full faith that they will. I think that, honestly, I think any of the other teams could. I don't know if this is some like weird NRG copia, but I do think that NRG, they have a bit of grit in there, you know. They're not favourites against Fnatic in this big series, but they certainly have a bit of grit in there. Something, he's done it again. He tweeted it out. Would you lose? Nah, I'd win. We've seen this before. It's not always ended very well, but we'll see whether it ends well this time. So this is the way the bracket looks. As you guys are watching this video, the Fnatic NRG series is probably underway. Then DRX, Paper X, the first elimination game later in the day. I'm expecting Paper X to get the victory there. But yeah, a banging couple of days of Valorant on the horizon, and more to come in the future as well. So very much enjoy your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care, and I'll see you next time.